I think this image speaks for itself, but we need to talk about the entire myth right now of what's going on with Israel and journalists and the reporters. And are we targeting people? Do we care about freedom of speech? Why aren't we allowing journalists into Israel or into Gaza? All of these things are an important conversation, but they're really, really simple to understand if you get two main things. Number one, let's dive a little bit into the Hamas mentality and understand how they work. You see, Hamas are not a democratic, freedom-loving Western society. They're Islamic jihadis, and they have one goal and one goal only: to take over the world, and they do not have the same value system as us. They don't believe in life. They don't believe in sacred anything. They believe in lying publicly to get their goals, and they are willing to go to any ends to get it. And those ends mean personal sacrifice of life, their children not having any food, manipulation of the world, public lying. They're happy to do absolutely anything to get to their goal. And that's how they sit and think. When they wake up in the morning, they don't think to themselves, how can we have a peaceful world? Which is what most of us think. They think to themselves, how can we use Western values against Western societies to further our goals? And that's exactly what they do. They look at something like a hospital and they say, oh, a hospital is sacred to Western values. They are not going to attack a hospital. So why don't we use hospitals as military hotbeds, as military headquarters? Because that way they can't attack our military. That's a successful military strategy. Israel, however, calls out their number and then goes ahead and attacks hospitals, which are not actually hospitals anymore. They're now military headquarters. They go after the source. And then Hamas woke up one morning to find out that, lo and behold, not only does their strategy not really work, and Israel might come after the hospitals, but they'll be very careful about it, but the world is going to call Israel out. So they get a double whammy. They get to protect their terrorists, and they get people to be angry at Israel and stop Israel from doing the things that Israel needs to do. It's a very simple strategy. Same with the aid. Propagate a message that there is no aid. Forcing Israel and America to use taxpayer monies to provide Hamas literally with salaries. Hamas will then steal it, starve their people, and they have more propaganda material. The exact same thing is done with journalists. Okay? Let's take our most successful journalists, let's take our most successful terrorists and make them journalists. Call them reporters. Give them jobs with the BBC. And not only will we have a propaganda lifeline to the world, but we will keep these people who are of inherent value to Hamas safe, because the world cares about freedom of press. And so they will penalize Israel for coming after any journalist. And that way we can, because we're so amazingly sophisticated, use these useful idiots to go out there and propagate a message which is a total and complete lie. And that is exactly how the BBC end up with reporters who are not reporters, they are terrorists. Now, for the second question on should Israel allow for journalists to be going into Gaza, and why is Israel not allowing it? Okay, to begin with, if I live in a house and somebody hates me and it is my house, I don't have to invite that person into my house. Okay, but there is a lot of conversation about if Israel should be for allowing these journalists who hate Israel. We know that the media will do everything to warp the story and put them into Gaza to report fairly on what's going on. And the world is propagating this message, specifically people like Piers and Tucker. Well, if they have nothing to hide, why don't they allow reporters? Well, it's actually nothing to do with that. Because if we had nothing to hide, if we had something to hide, here's what we would do. We would stop the internet access in Gaza. We would not allow for the huge amount of propaganda, TikTok information, videos going on in Gaza go out to the public, but we haven't touched that. All we are saying is we are not taking journalists who we know Hamas will identify and try and target and putting them into a military zone, endangering our own soldiers. We are not going out of our way to take people who hate us into a zone in which they will be targeted, putting our own people at risk. Because that is an insane demand on Israel, and Israel has just put their foot down. They've taken in some journalists who are favorable to Israel. And why is that? Well, because maybe for that means it is a worthwhile thing for Israel to do. To take an IDF soldier and say, hey, you want to take somebody like Douglas Murray who really supports us, who really believes in us, and who is going to actually show the truth, and take him in, and that IDF soldier might be interested in it. But to other people in the world, to the people who obviously hate us, to people like this, who are willing to lie about us all of the time, these people, we should put our own soldiers at risk for the freedom of the press? Absolutely not. If we had anything to hide at all, we would have stopped everything that's going on with their propaganda machine on TikTok. And we haven't done that. We're just not going out of our way to endanger our soldiers for the freedom of the press ideal. That is what's going on. And everybody has it so confused and so messed up. It is just so infuriating. Anyways, we'll burn Jews like Hitler did. These are the reporters of Hamas. That's what you need to remember.